All right, so today I wanted to talk about choosing metrics. And the main thing that I think most people do in running a business is that when they think about the metric to choose, it's attractive to choose revenue. And that's because it's the easiest to measure and the most obvious most often. Um, but the more and more that, at least in building a format and in working with a bunch of customers in the ecom space, I have learned about like what revenue really is a function of, the more I believe that this can often be deceptive. And it's a good output metric, but it's not a good input metric. And so it's very hard to like manage your business on this, uh, even though it's a good top line way to understand the health of the business, right? Like revenue and revenue growth. And so generally speaking, there is like some underlying mechanic um, that is actually the main thing that is the main like metric that you need to be picking to manage your business. And this is going to change based on the business, but this is actually the very hard question for most businesses to answer. And what I think is true is that actually that this underlying variable changes over the course of the business. So illustratively, like let's just take this output metric of revenue. So I'm just going to like pick random numbers. So like 0 to 1 million versus 1 to 10 versus 10 to 100 and so on. At each of these different output metric scales, the underlying variable is likely going to be different. That is actually the most important metric against which to manage. And so from 0 to 1, really that's like your product market fit stage. And so probably the underlying metric has something to do with that product market fit. And so it is probably something like, hey, have you found the like first two, 1 to 2 niches of customers, and like, can you describe them? And so, and then that descriptor is going to be the underlying metric, right? From 1 to 10, it's like from 1 to 10, it's like, okay, have you figured out your initial distribution channel? And so for like a D2C brand, that underlying metric of a distribution channel most often is probably some metric that has to do with like your meta efficiency. So your ability to acquire customers on meta, right? Based on the product that you're trying to sell. From 10 to 100, it probably means if you're a D2C brand that you're able to in some way go multi-channel in that distribution and that you're able to get economies of scale on your back end and your suppliers and things like this. And so probably your underlying metric has more to do with that than it has to, because if those things are working and you can actually manage your team against those variables, then this scaling will happen, right? And so that is this like question of choosing the right metric is like fundamentally actually the job of the leader, and I think is an area that, the seductive thing to do is to just measure revenue or revenue growth. And I think is actually should be viewed as like the output metric, and you should be paying a lot of attention to what the right input metric is. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. I'll see you all in the next one.